So, as of late, I was inspired by a video made an introduction to our niche community. It is a video that I can admire the work that goes into this, what makes it different from any other commentary community, and what makes it niche. And I kind of want to do something like that, but for the Fanime community, and how is it different from any other indie animation community. I know not many folks would be interested in watching this type of video, and really, I can understand that. But I hope that this will enlighten those that are interested in watching this video. With that, let's begin! I know that there's a bit of confusion given the fact that FanimeCon exists. Not to mention the fucking LOL doll also existing, which is the bane of my fucking existence. Anyways, point is, there has been an overlap in definitions, and I want to put a kibosh on this confusion just for a bit. That being said, it would still be hard to explain, but I will cite the current article that is on TV Tropes as my source. Fanime, a name being a portmanteau of fan and anime, is basically a type of web animation that is typically by young amateur artists that originated on YouTube around 2006, a year after the site's birth. The definition for Fanime has for sure become nebulous over time. It started out as a genre of making animated fanfictions of magical girl shows, specifically Tokyo Mew Mew. Instead of using animation software like Adobe Flash, creators would usually just draw the frames on MS Paint, Paint.net, or Photoshop, and composite it together in Windows Movie Maker. Of course, over time, there is a shift of folks using Fanime as a means to create their own original works and not having to abide by the, what is essentially limiting to when it comes to fanfictions. And any creator has their own method of animations now. Though, it is still common to use a combination of an art program and a video editing software to animate. As Fanime was predominantly created by very young artists that are very experienced in animation in the beginning, it has gained a reputation of being bad, which is why there was a lot of Let's Watches at the time. This also drew in trolls who would contribute some ingenuine works to the community. It was attempting to poke fun or replicate the so bad it's good effect. There was a period where a lot more folks knew about Fanime as a genre of animation because of the now super mainstream Neon Neko Sugar Girls. And because of how popular it is, there had been a good amount of works that tried to capture the same effect. Whether it's to have fun with the series, on being just silly ha-has, actually trying to troll people, or just wanting to recapture the fame that Neon Neko Sugar Girls have, really depends on the creator. With that said, creators attempting to create genuine shows still remain, and the reputation of Fanime being bad is no longer the mainstream opinion. Though I would not be surprised if there are some cringe culture folks that would still hold that opinion. What makes Fanime different from any other animation genre is the fact that it's predominantly just making a series as a hobby with the Fanime label. And what do I mean by that? Well, we'll get to that for the section of its own. Bro, I think it really depends on the individual that wants to label their works as a Fanime. I know this doesn't sound super helpful, but given the fact that I, of all people, got accepted into the community, and all I have done was just almost nothing but visual novel style Fanimes, I think one would be fine to create a Fanime. Doing something in the same format as I do and title it as a Fanime, you made a Fanime. Done something that's only in keyframes or in a slideshow style and labeled it as a Fanime, it's a Fanime. Puppeting? That's a Fanime too. Frame by frame animation, you are crazy motivated, but you are still valid as making a Fanime if that is what you're desired to be called. And as folks have their own methods of animation, the tools also differ as well. MS Paint may be forever the poster child of making a fanime, but there is a rise of using other art programs like Paint Tool Sai, Fire Alpaca, and Clip Studio Paint. And hell, same can be said with video editing software as well. Windows Movie Maker may also forever be the poster child, but there's also a rise of using Sony Vegas, Adobe Premiere, and HitFilm Express. Of course, if you want to stick with just using animation software like with Macromedia Flash 2004, Krita, Clip Studio Paint EX, or Rough Animator, and that is all you want to do in terms of animating, that is also valid. Another thing to note is that it is also up to you on whether you want to make your fanime a one-person project or a collaborative work by you and other folks that you trust personally. The former is definitely a lot more common than the latter, but the latter does exist. And as for the question of, do I need some sort of anime art style in order for it to be a fanime? This is actually a tough question for me to answer in a short amount of time. Because while there was that stigma that was like, yeah, a fanime has to have some sort of anime art style, I think a lot of us just don't really care that much anymore. Like, if you have an overtly cartoony style and still refer to your work as a fanime, that's fine. Like, just as an example, Terra Girls, despite having an art style that's not super anime, counts as a fanime. Now granted, the creator for it, Emily Loves Cookies, had a previous fanime, Into the Stars, which had a more anime-esque art style, so she already established herself as being part of anime. That being said, at the point that Terra Girls was made, Emily still associated with the community and still referred to it as a fanime. So really, it comes down to just wanting to associate your work with the fanime label. With that said, if you already have animated works or just creative works in general under your belt, but you feel that they don't work with the fanime label but want to create something that has a style that would fit with the label, then that is also your prerogative. But I will say, if you still like your style that you would feel is non-fanime, please keep said style. Like, it is okay to have one style for one thing and a different style for another thing. Normalize something like that. This one's a bit tough, but I think there are really two factors to this. If you're already working on, /planning, wanting to work on a series, or just wanting to join because a friend of yours is a part of it. For the latter, it's more or less just, hey, you're interested in fanime because of a friend? Welcome! And same goes for the former, especially if you're at least chill with your works being labeled as a fanime. I'd also say if you want to reach out to community members, like, it's either going to be on YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, and maybe Newgrounds, and etc. However, if you're a bit unsure on reaching out to a specific person, there are two general fanime Discord servers. There is Fanime World, which has been around since late 2017. Though if you want something slightly newer, I'd also recommend Fanime Castle, which has been around since 2020. However, if you feel that these servers are too big for you, or you're not really a big fan of public discords in general, I can understand not wanting to join any of them. But they are kind of a quick way to reach out to anyone in the community, as well as keeping track of the events at hand, if you're like new to it. That said, if you prefer making your own general Fanime Discord server or doing something different like a Fanime Revolt server if you have a hatred for Discord, that is also valid. I say only do so if you're interested with fanime works outside of your own fanime / your favorite fanime. A bit of decentralization can be healthy once in a while. Of course, creators do have their own specific Discord servers, but whether they are public or private really depends on said creator. honestly, outside of the mainstream recommendations, Yanaka Sugar Girls, Blood Raining Night, Sugoi Crest for Kokoro, etc., the less popular but still popular recommendations, Magical Girl School, Ocean Kiss, and My Jungle Book Your Year, etc., or my personal recommendations, Silk After Gallantry, Don't Take My Hat, Our World Ends Here, etc., I don't think I'll do anything right with justice just by doing that alone. So I'm gonna talk about two types of sources. Glossaries? I think? Maybe? I don't know. One is a website that is titled Fanime Catalog that has a long list of fanimes to watch. Sadly though, there are no links attached to them, so if you see a name that interests you, it's best just to go ahead and copy and paste a link into the YouTube search bar and just, well, search them right there. There's also the fact that the titles can be a little bit hard to read at points, at least in my personal opinion. That being said, if you want something else that's a little bit more on the gallery side of things, there is of course the Tumblr blog, Fanime and Web Series Gallery. Though it may not have as long of a list compared to the Fanime catalog, it is a little easier to navigate. Sadly though, I don't know if the person running the blog is active, so that's a shame. I'd say use both links interchangeably to look for fanimes that interest you. So, this is something that I'm sure a lot of folks may say I don't have to do this, but I told myself that I'm legally obligated to do so anyways. This section is basically talking about what creators are doing now since they ain't doing Fanime anymore, or so it seems. Mind you, I can't go through all of them. I'm only talking about the ones that I have in mind, and even then, I think some of them I have not caught up with in a long-ass while. We'll start with them first. Evan/Dravison, creator of Kawaii Schoolgirl and was the main host for Fanime Update. Though I'm not sure if he fully left the community, I know that he ain't doing much with Fanime anymore, so there's that. I know he streams Twitch under the Cider Spider name and mainly streams Final Fantasy XIV content. He also has a YouTube channel for said content too, Kisaka Toriyama/Mojo Crystal Tokyo, creator of Van Galaxis, Aliens, and the OG Tokyo Crystal Mew. Though I have not caught up with her too much since early 2020, I have noticed that she's mainly doing VTubing now. And of course, she streams on Twitch. So if you're up for watching streams still, but, you know, want something that's on the more side of VTubing, then hey, that's for you probably. Shribbit and Funny Bunny J. Yeah, I'm putting these two together given the fact that their fate is kind of the same. But Shribbit, creator of Magical Girl School, Planetary Creation, and Ultimate Journalism, and Funny Bunny J, who is the creator of Sandor Goes to School and Sandor Interviews, respectively. What is the reason why I'm mentioning these two simultaneously? It is more or less due to the fact that both of them are part of the same D&D podcast, Chosen Ones, which is hosted by another person who was once part of this community, Casserole. So, if you're not much into watching streams in general, and prefer story-based content, especially if you're super into D&D, I would say give Chosen Ones a watch/listen to. Tenshi Hanka/Otaku Crap, creator of Predecessor of a New World, Group vs. Team, and Don't Take My Hat. This one I know personally. I know that he has real-life obligations to deal with, but I would be remiss to myself if I didn't mention that he has made games that are on his itch.io page, and is working on a sequel to one of his games, Mectonic. Fried Soup, creator of Magical Nyoto-chan and Art Ho, previously known as Seizure-Inducing Blobs and Artistic Pylol. I don't know if she's currently working on creative projects as of recent years, or at least publicly, but I know that she's still into making the art, so I say check her out on Twitter. And that is basically all the creators I want to mention. I know that there's more, but if I bring up more, we'd be here for a million years. Whether it's through YouTube, Nico Nico Doga, or the Internet Archive, there are times where Fanime gets re-uploaded a whole lot. And though there are some things about it that could be considered a gray area, it happens. 9 times out of 10, they usually get re-uploaded by folks who aren't the original creators. And I'll list off some of them if you don't mind me doing so. There was Yin Yang, which was deleted off of YouTube, but was later re-uploaded through there and the Internet Archive. I know that this was a personal favorite for some folks, actually a good amount of folks actually, so I had to mention this one. There is also Elemental Goddess. Kinda. This one is kind of a weird one, because judging by the old AMVs for it, it seems that there was going to be a lot more than what was actually re-uploaded. That said, whatever is uploaded on YouTube or Nico Nico is the only thing that we can get out of the story from the series, because everything else is practically lost media at this point. There is also Nellipot. As much as I don't really want to talk about it because some of the things I heard about one of the creators, I do feel that I have to talk about this one. While attempts to re-upload the series on YouTube has failed due to the fact that it gets struck down by copyright by one of the creators, it is re-uploaded on Nico Nico Doga and the Internet Archive. Although not episode 1 though, it's kinda strange. And going off a script for a bit, I know that there was some cases where the people who tried to upload it kind of said that like, oh hey, the main creator is a piece of shit, so I could claim these characters as my OCs. And to that I say that I don't really vibe with that type of mentality. But that's a can of worms for another therapy session. Another thing that is kind of awkward for me to mention now is Tokyo Fetish Mew, but for a completely different reason. This one is a bit of a tough pickle since the original creator, Missy R, who now goes by Squeeze Beast, basically disowned this one and has now since deleted it off the face of the earth. That being said, that didn't stop one YouTube channel who I'd assume was made by a fan for it to re-upload those episodes. With the exception of episode 9 due to copyright. The re-uploaders words, not mine. Now, I will say this, those episodes that are now re-uploaded are now age restricted. Understandably so, but they exist now. Sadly, the Lorem Ipsum Fanime did not get the same re-uploading treatment. We can't have shit in this house. Oh well, at least we have this gem of a joke back.
Oh crap!
Haruko Shakushu, you're under arrest for the murder of 3 boys no one cares about.
Why are you arresting me too?
Even the friend gets in trouble.
Are you arresting yourself?
Even the cop gets in trouble.
Hey, what are you doing with the fruit shop?
Even the shop gets in trouble!
Gosh, if B doesn't come back to make a Fanime that they would be proud of with the same exact joke, I am fucking stealing that joke. Mark my words. So initially, I was thinking of answering some questions that y'all outside of the community may have, but I realized that I'm not big enough for something like that, so saving that for another time. So I thought about wanting to cover the criticisms that Fanime and some of the community members have faced, which is like an inverse that video. But upon initially writing that, I realized that I was going on a lot longer than I initially was going for, so I decided to cut that part out and save it for a separate future video that I might do, maybe. And believe me, there were some parts that I got super passionate about, and let me tell you. So instead, I'll bring up what was the at the time common trends that you see with Fanime. Some of them are still going to this day, mind you, but you know, I think some of them might date this video back just 1,000 years. But yeah, let's get around to talking about these trends, shall we? The first of these trends is the magical girl fanimes. It's no surprise given the fact that a lot of animes back then were animated fanfictions of a lot of magical girl anime. However, a lot of people have made their own variation of the magical girl trope, so, you know, there's some originality in that department. That said, there is one subsection that has its own mini-section, and that is the Tokyo Mew Mew fanimes. There was a time when there was a shit ton of Mew Mew fanimes, given the fact that Tokyo Crystal Mew started it all, but it's crazy on how many there are of these, especially back in the day. Like, maybe this is an outside perspective in me talking, but I half expected that Sailor Moon would have more fanimes than Tokyo Mew Mew, given the fact of how mainstream that was. Or still is. The next big trend is, of course, the troll fanimes, as I mentioned in the previous big section. It is, for sure, the more divisive trend of the bunch. But it is a thing, likely due to the fact of how influential Nyan Neko Sugar Girl was at its peak. Now, as I said before, the intentions behind this series really depends on the creator. Are they really trolling people? Are they trying to make the silly ha-has? Silly troll fanime ha-has? Or are they actually trying to get the success off of Nyan Neko Sugar Girls? I know for a lot of folks, it's actually bloody hard to tell. They were more common in 2013-2015 than they are now, but really, they still exist. And there is a subsection of this that I feel I gotta talk about. And that is the Nyan Neko Sugar Girls fan sequels / prequels. For those that are shook, yep, this is a thing. And believe me, I was a little shook as well when I found out that this was a trend. However, at the same time, it seems that these were made by folks who have genuine love for Nyan Neko Sugar Girls. Hell, there are some going a step further with the animation skills that the original creator of the series intended. So, say what you will with how shocking this is, I can appreciate the care that goes into these projects. The next trend is the beach theme fanimes. This one I find personally hilarious because I was there when it all started. See, there was one point where some creators have their fanimes take place at a beach, and there are some themes that are related to that or the ocean. This trend was more common in 2018-2019 portion of the era that a parody fanime was made about it. The next trend, and I don't have much to talk about this one, are the edgy fanimes. I don't know if this trend lasts long before the 2010s. Not to say that there wasn't any edgy fanimes in the 2010s, but yeah, they were a lot more common before then. There is not much for me to say since it was before my time, but hey, if any of the folks that were there remember, feel free to say. School life animes. Given the age of the community during the earlier years and how slice of life anime was on the rise, it is no surprise that there are some school life based fanimes as well. And sometimes they intertwine with other trends. But there's also another section of this, a mini section. The Nelly Pot inspired fanimes. This one I am not too sure if I could talk about given what I said about Nelly Pot being re-uploaded, but I feel like I would cut context out if I didn't at least mention this. Due to the fact that Nelly Pot had a huge impact on Fanime back then, it is no surprise that people would be excited and want to create something like it as well. And that's all I'm going to say on that matter because, yeah. But that is basically all I can muster talking about. I'm sure there is more, but if I were to try my best to get my brain to remember them, we'd be here all day. hope you find this crash course video of what Fanime is and what the community has to offer enlightening. I don't know if there will be more videos like this anytime soon, especially since my gaming laptop that I edit this video in is starting to show its age, just a bit. Maybe I'll set up a donation goal on my Ko-fi about this. Maybe. I don't know, that's something I want to think about on my own time. That said, I hope y'all outside of the community got a gist of what Fanime is, and maybe found a favorite or two. And if you want to make your own Fanime, or even just something else entirely after watching this, then I am happy that I would at least inspire someone to make something. And to those that are in this community, and even former members, I hope you like this discussionary/commentary approach to this topic. And genuinely, I hope that y'all have a good one, and take care. This is Chibajisi of YouTube signing out. Goodbye!